Is SEO dead in 2025? Well, we asked Carl Roof, SEO expert, and his answer might blow your mind. Today, we're talking about AI robots taking over, how search will change in 2025, and SEO retirement plans. Let's go. It's 2025, Carl. Is SEO dead?
I can't believe any of us made it this far. I know. Do you remember like at the turn of the century, when Y2K was all going on and all that? Um, 2025 didn't sound like a real year. It was just like that's not a year. Like we're never gonna get. And now here we are. Here we are. We've made it, and we found this crazy little cottage industry that, in spite of itself and in spite of its detractors, um, it's doing great. We've made it. It's not dead. It's flourishing. Of course, all things have their ups and downs, and it's not exactly linear, but all indicators point north on this for 2025. I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well. It's like there was a lot of negativity. I mean, there's a couple of big events recently that we'll talk about in a second, but from what I can see, like 2025 looks better than ever. Like it looks like it's going to be a really good year. One of the things that I saw was Google actually ended the year, after all the speculation about like, are people still using Google? Is ChatGPT going to take over? Google still has 90% of the market share, right? When it comes to search.
Yeah, maybe even a little more.
Mm.
But yeah, you're right. They went. I think honestly, they dropped from like 108% to 104% is what it really went down to. I mean, like nobody in their right mind is banking their entire business on ChatGPT search. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm all
that's
in on that. Like it's like okay, maybe it's something to consider, but that's as far as it's gone.
actually, I've not really seen. I thought there'd be loads of agencies selling that as a service by now, or like these AIO audits, but I've not really seen that. Have you?
No, I've actually only seen one person like of all the chatter, and I don't watch too much. You are probably more in tune with what people are saying than I am, but I've only seen one person really claim that they have a client that's getting business off of chat GPT search or some sort of like AI search. Um, one, and that's about it. So I would imagine if more people are having just crazy success with clients getting tons of business off of the search engines, that a lot more people will be talking about it. But I think I've mentioned this before. Um, find the least tech savvy person in your family and have a convo, and somebody also that's making purchases online, like somebody that is online but just not sophisticated in a way where they don't care about SEO. They don't know, they pronounce it CO and they're happy about, they don't care, right? Talk to that person. And for me, that's my father and his wife Janet, and I chat with them all the time, and I always say things like, hey, what do you think about those new like AI features in Google? And they're like, what new AI features in Google? Like, like do the SERPs look different to you? Like what do you think about the results? Like, and they're like, nah, I don't know. Should I?
Nothing is changed.
Yeah, should it look different? And then the biggest one was, and I screenshotted this text chat that I had with them, where I sent them a message, and I didn't realize I live in Thailand. They live in the U.S. in Virginia, and I accidentally sent them a message at like 3 a.m. And I was like, "Hey, I just had a quick question. I want to know, are you guys using like ChatGPT for anything, or in particular, have you used like their search feature?" And honestly, I think I woke Janet up, and at 3:02, like in a panic like response, she was like, "I've never heard of this. Should I know what this is?" And this was like 3 months ago. And she's like, "Should we be using that right now?" And I was like, "Oh my god, please go to bed. We'll chat in the morning." I'm so sorry. I didn't remember what time it was. They have no clue. Like, so they're in their mid 60s, well, maybe later 60s now. But they're your average. They go online. They buy stuff online. They travel. They book stuff online. They're, I think, a pretty average consumer, and they have no clue what ChatGPT is. They have no idea what ChatGPT search is. They aren't interested in any of that. They don't know the impact of anything. They probably think most AI videos are real. Like,
Mm,
like there's
yeah,
probably
probably.
there's probably that going on too. But otherwise, the average consumer right now is not involved in any of it at all. It's not being adopted. by average people. It's being adopted by people like you and I, who are interested in those kind of things and are, I think, a little more online savvy and online tech savvy than the average consumer. And so, until the average consumer gets involved with it, I'm not overly stressed about what impact it's going to have, because it's just really not on the overall landscape of things.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also, a lot of people are scared of AI, aren't they? Like, for example, if I mentioned AI to my grandma and granddad, they're more fearful of it than actually tempted to use it.
Well,
That's
sure.
gonna have to be a big belief that gets changed, I think,
Well,
if anyone switched to ChatGPT.
no hero in any movie has turned to AI to do a quick search to find out, what year Rome was founded. Like, it's AI as this boogeyman, this demon, this overlord that's coming to take over. It's never just like, hey, I'd like to get a recipe on how to make this casserole. Like, it's never portrayed in movies that way, and so I think most people in their impression of what AI is just this thing that's just going to take over eventually.
Yeah, it's kinda like, the Terminator
Yeah,
gave a bad rep. It was bad branding for AI, right?
not a fancy search engine.
What about there's been obviously a lot of changes in SEO over the last year or so. I mean, for example, I saw recently Affiliate Lab, so Matt Diggity's Affiliate Lab, they're shutting down in 6 months. Obviously, big announcement on the Facebook group recently. Authority Hacker are closing any sales, I think, to their SEO course, the
Hmm.
niche site course. What's your take on that? Because that literally happened over the last 2 weeks. Both of them shut down.
Yeah, Authority Hacker might have been a little bit earlier. It might have been, I feel like it was November. No, but maybe
Might be,
not.
might
Maybe
be
now they're
November,
not doing
but
any sales
recently.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, quitters. No, I'm kidding. When the going gets tough. No, I can say that because I love all those people. We're all good friends.
Yeah, we
Um,
respect all these people.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. Mark and Gail and Matt and I are all good friends. Um, and they're not quitters. No, it's interesting where I think for both of them, what it was, and this is just my personal opinion on it. You start an entire course, you start an entire, it's almost like a philosophy or like a framework, a way to do something. And that takes an enormous amount of energy and time and money and resources, and they've done that. And I think what they see right now is that it would take a complete overhaul of what they had created. It's not just a, I think in their minds, it's not just a tweak to what they've created. It's a completely new thing. And I think just they're at the points of their careers where that's just not interesting. It's not interesting to sit down and completely overhaul or just completely redo an entire system of how to make money online. I think there's still a lot that can be done with what they taught, and I think a lot of people are still doing it and still doing it quite well. But I think they saw almost like a complete rebrand was needed, and I just don't think that they had the interest, or the energy probably to do it. Um, I had my son when I was 36, and I really regretted that I didn't have him at 26 because I realized I didn't have any energy and I was 36. So I can imagine doing it like, if you think about it, like 10 years later after that, which is for all of them about 10 years, right? On how long they've had these courses. Yeah, I would never have a kid at 46, which is what I'm about to turn. That'd be just a hard no. And I can see, I can see why they would say no to trying to keep that going after the things that they think that need to change.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like, I still see the niche site and the authority site methods working.
Yeah,
Like, there's plenty of people I've seen start a website within the last few months and then do
yeah,
really well. But it's more from their, and I think nobody looks at this, but like you say, their perspective. Like, for example, Matt Diggity in his 40s, like, he doesn't want to create a whole new course from scratch again,
yeah.
especially when he's probably shifting away from the SEO industry a little bit, from what I've seen. So,
We're all eyeing retirement, and you're looking at, I personally have a goal to be retired by 52. I know Matt has
nice.
a similar type goal. And when you think about it, it took him 10 years, or I think maybe affiliate lab was like 6 or 7 years. But still, that's at the end of retirement to get kind of back to the point that it was. And it's like, I don't think I want to do that at this point in my career. So I suspect that for all those guys, that's really more what it is. It's just like where they are with their career, what they want to invest their time into, and creating a whole new course is just not anything anybody wants to do right now.
Yeah, yeah, I see where they're coming from. How do you think SEO is actually gonna change this year in 2025?
This
Is
is
it
this is the same answer I give every year. Like, it
I'm
does
looking at your reaction, and I'm like,
it
I
doesn't
know
change
he's
that
gonna
much.
say nothing has
Everyone's like,
changed.
everyone says it's changed so much, and that's a fun thing to say when you're doing advertisement. When you want people to buy your stuff, it's changed. How are you staying on? Because you're playing on people's fears, or just their perceptions. But nah, the core stuff stays the same. It really doesn't change. I don't know how many times I can show people. Um, you have to do this. This outranks that. This is how because we're ranking for an algorithm. We're not ranking for an AI bot. That's just not it. Now, those little features, those have different things, and but that's just kind of how Google's always been. Every time they release a new feature, it's a slightly different format for that one particular thing. But that doesn't change the base algorithm that the whole thing is built off of for just the core way to rank within the organic section of Google. That doesn't change. Now they do pull levers, they turn dials. They specifically said, and then we can see this in like the HCU from the end of 2023 and the March core of 2024, which were pretty devastating to a lot of affiliate sites. That was Google just saying like, I don't like that site, and just and going after those sites. It's not that the entire algorithm changed, it's that they specifically targeted those types of sites, put things in to find them, and tried to get them out of the SERPs. That's what that was. And just specifically going after that type of site. But nothing towards ranking changed. That was just them kind of, hand of God coming in and saying like, we want these out of our SERPs for whatever. Oh, I know the reason. It's because affiliate sites are middlemen. And even though Google is wildly unaware of itself that it is the ultimate middleman and how it makes money, it hates other middlemen. That's it. That's what it is. A middleman hates other middlemen, and
That's fair enough. That's fair
Google is
enough.
the ultimate middleman and just can't stand somebody else making money as a middleman, and um, went after those guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, the way that I see it is like when I first started SEO, the fundamentals are still the same. It's like, and it'll
It's
probably
all the
be the
same.
same in like 10 years, like
That's
keywords,
that's
content, backlinks.
That's my point. It would just take a fundamental shift of Google is no longer here. Like we're not searching in the same way. That would have to change. But then search methods are based off of things that go back to how libraries are organized. How do you do information retrieval from physical things? Like a lot of the method, like the search operators, for example, and all that kind of stuff. That all that logic comes from how to find information in a real world setting, and then it's just taken into an online setting, and then worked on from there. But I mean, it's all logic that makes sense to humans, and I don't know how you could change the logic that much in a way that we would understand it better or like it better, because it still has to serve a human purpose. I imagine there's an AI that could be built that could do amazing information retrieval, but it'd be beyond our comprehension, and then therefore not worthwhile. Like so, like the whatever we're doing for search and information retrieval, because this what it is just information retrieval uh, of an existing corpus. Um, it still has to work for humans, and this is the way we really like to think about it. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. On like it would take like some sort of human evolution, I think, in order for the way we want to search for things to change. So yeah, it's not going to change. Nothing's changing. Like they might again go after a certain type of site that they don't like. That can totally happen. Like they could shut down like all the payday loans, for example, because they're tired of it. Um, that could happen, something like that. But the algorithm part isn't going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the way I see it as well is like even if, for example, more people start using AI, then humans being humans, just like we've done for the last 2,000 years or whatever, we just try and find more answers, right? Like we're always
Yeah,
going to search. That's always going to be there. It's just maybe the format would change
yeah,
slightly. Yeah.
slightly. But the basic logic of how search and retrieval happens in a way that we like to do it and can process and understand it is how these search engines are currently built, and I just can't see that format changing anytime soon.
Have you experimented with like any ways to rank inside AI? Because there are a lot of people interested in that. For example, ranking in ChatGPT or Perplexity.
No, but we I just went through a pretty comprehensive look at how, like, just some basic understanding of what's going on in that search, and it's a write up done by Luca Dobredich, and we're publishing that inside of IMG. Shameless, shameless plug. No, that's going to go out either today or tomorrow on just a kind of write up of like what is actually happening in there on a pretty comprehensive kind of field study of putting keywords in, seeing what the results look like in search. What did it look like in Bing? Because a lot of people think like, oh, maybe if you rank well in Bing, you're going to rank well in Chat GPT search because it pulls from Bing, that kind of stuff. And so just kind of looking, getting like a lay of the land as to what's actually going on in search. And so that's kind of where I think everybody really is just what is there. How does it work exactly? Or how does it like perform? And then I think we can get into how does it work or how can we optimize for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And any like learnings from that, or any like big takeaways you got from that, or do we have to get the course to find out?
No, nothing actually stood out as like, oh, that's where we want to tap into first. Um, it's not consistent with Bing results necessarily. It does from time to time. It'll pull from stuff that's way down in the SERPs for information, which was interesting. Uh, so either either it has more freedom to go hunting, if you will, or it's looking at a different data set. Perhaps it's not looking at the full data set, or there's like a lot of stuff that's filtered out that will never be in there, and it's only looking at certain types of sites, perhaps. So no, there's still a lot to kind of digest and go into, but nothing huge like immediately stands out. It's kind of like remember when Ahrefs came out with Yep, their search engine, which I think still exists. The very first thing I did was I ran a whole bunch of searches on it, and then I looked to see if the sites that show up in Yep have the highest score in Ahrefs for their domain rating, or at least their page rating for that page. And the answer is no. And I found it pretty interesting that their search engine didn't line up with their own rating system for how strong a particular site is. It was just that kind of stuff. So that's kind of that's just kind of information that we've got on this first run of it's not the easy. We can just A to B it. There's more to it.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. How about I think you're out of the agency game, right? Are you?
Yeah, I'm on the board of the agency, and I sit
Yeah,
in on 1 hour's worth of strategy meetings a month. But otherwise, I'm not currently running an agency.
I was going to say like, how's it been for your agency over the last sort of year or so? Because we were talking about that before we started recording.
Mm. Yeah, I can tell you that the agency, the first part of the year was tougher, and then I think, as a lot of people experienced, the second half of the year was significantly better for sure. Um, yeah, I think I've seen this a few times. So I've been in SEO since 2012, and I've seen this a few times where something happens and everything has changed, and people really get out of the industry in droves. And every time I've seen that, um, there's just been a boon uh, where more companies get online, more, and there are fewer service providers. That's always there's always this growth in more companies that need SEO, need digital marketing services of some sort, and then it always happens where there's this change that happens, and people who were kind of doing it casually, maybe as a side hustle, maybe they had a small agency and just decided it's not worth it for them anymore. they get out, and then as soon as that happens, there's always more business. That business is still coming in and still needs somebody to service. And when that contraction happens and the people that can hold out, then all of a sudden there's this explosion. And so I think that's right about where we are. Where I think going into 2025, there's going to be a lot of new business. Uh, um, Economically speaking, 2024 wasn't great for the world. And even though maybe the numbers didn't play out, I think people felt that way. There's a lot of sentiment. And when there's sentiment like that, people don't start business. People don't take risks. People hoard cash. People tighten their belts. And I think going into 2025, people are poised. Like, I think there are a lot of people that want to start that new business or want to expand their business. And there are a lot of SEO service providers that got out of the game in 2024. And so I think in 2025, there's going to be a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, that's the way that I see it as well. Is like all the returns come at the end, and they always go to the sort of the last few people standing.
Yeah, for sure. And if you made it through, that means you're running a pretty good business. That means you can go through lean times, and good businesses can. Good businesses are prepared for not always sunny, rosy economic outlook. Like, if you can only make it in a good economy, you don't have a good structure. That's how it works with anything. Within, like, governments that complain like, oh, we didn't do well this year because the economy was bad. Well, like, that happens. You should be ready. You should be ready for that. Same with businesses. Same with households. If you're doing it correctly, you can survive those downturns, and then they do really well in the upturns. But yeah, so I think the people that made it through are running good companies. They're ready to go, and there's going to be fewer competition. There's going to be more business. So 2025 should be good for service providers for sure.
Yeah, the other thing I saw was like, for example, if you look at the years, during COVID and everyone was online and had money to spend, but they couldn't go outside, like those times it was way easier to have an online business.
Hmm.
Like, I knew so many people were absolutely killing it back then who are not doing so well now. And like you
Hmm.
say, it's like when the tide goes out, you see you swimming naked, right?
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
like,
Yeah.
it's basically you get found out pretty quickly in those tough times.
So it turns out a lot of SEOs are not great at running businesses. It's a thing that I've seen where it's true of anybody in any industry. A lot of people don't know how to run a company, and I've been very lucky that my business partner knew how to run a company. And the reason we had money in the bank, um, when we started, was because of him, and his leadership. And so I got very lucky in that, because I think if I was at the helm at the start, we wouldn't have made it. We would have Every penny that came in would have gone right back out, and that's not how he operates. And so, yeah, if you don't know how to run a company, find somebody that does, and try to get up with them to make sure that you're on solid ground for when things don't go that great, but you still want to keep that company going.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you being on. So we've covered, what's the future for 2025? What's the environment looking like? Has AI changed anything? Was there anything else you wanted to mention before you go?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you seeing prompts change over time, as you're doing your prompts for your content? Do you have to update your prompts, or do they stay pretty consistent?
I mean, I think you just get better at building them, right? Like, so for example, now if I set up a custom GPT, it's because of all the mistakes that I've made in the past. The future ones are way better. So, for example, like if I build out a custom GPT that creates content, it's like, right, okay, it's going to be personalized to me, the context of the brand, the internal links of the page, how it's written, etc.
Yeah. When you write your titles for your YouTube videos,
Mm.
is one of your prompts that insane must be included at least one time?
It was funny the other day.
Is that one of your, one of your, do not ignore, required prompts, that insane must be in at least one time in every title?
Mandatory capital letters, insane. So, two things on that. Number one, actually, I saw a comment on YouTube the other day, and I didn't follow that format. And someone actually commented, like, I'm not going to watch it. It doesn't mention insane. It's not insane enough for me. I'm not going to watch this.
That's funny. That's a funny comment.
And then the other thing that I would say is like one thing that I've learned from YouTube and also running Facebook ads and any sort of marketing is like quite often your winners from before are the biggest predictor of what's going to work in the future. And so
Mm-hmm.
like if you just change something 1 degree from what already works, it's way more likely to work because you're like, oh, why don't I just use that hook that worked before instead of why would I create a brand new title that I have no idea if it's going to work or not?
Sure,
And
sure.
so like doing that, I mean, since we started using that method, our views are like up 100% month on month. It's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, I always just tease
That's
it
insane.
because I was looking through your video thing, and because I got one of your videos, and then I was looking at the roll, and it was insane, 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 insane. This insane thing is
Insane and free.
insane. Yeah,
Insane and free are usually the
that's
top
it.
2. Yeah, yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it, and happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Appreciate you being on. Yeah.
All right, man.
Cheers. What's the best way to get in touch? We'll leave a link in the description.
I'm spending a lot of time at the software, so pageoptimizer.pro. I'm over there a lot.
What's
And if you hit live chat support, it gets to me. So
you're ready and waiting, right? At all
yeah, I,
times?
I I'm there at the keyboard.
Sometimes I wait until 4 in the morning. I set an alarm and then I check, is Carl Roof online? Like, I
That's
send a message on the
right.
live chat. Or I get one of my virtual assistants to make sure you're online and answering within
At
2
4 a.m.,
minutes.
you're definitely getting Cerise at that time, not Kyle. But Kyle will be on in a few hours after that.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, take care.
So if you want to get in touch with Carl directly on the live chat at 4 a.m. in the morning, he's waiting for you. Then feel free to check out Page Optimizer Pro. I've left a link inside the comments and description. This wasn't a sponsored video, and I haven't even included an affiliate link. You can just check it out if you want to. And then if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month and generate thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free SEO domination plan, discover the secrets of SEO link building, we'll answer any questions you have one-to-one. You'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, plus how to quickly outrank your competitors in link building, and how to 10x your SEO traffic based on what's working for us. Feel free to check that out. Link in the comments and description. Appreciate you watching. Bye.